Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
I find these kind of stories fascinating. DoorDash driver helped cheat company out of $2.5 million using phantom deliveries. Both James and Doug sent this to me. Thank you very much. From the LA Times, Caitlin Homani wrote this. A Southern California man and his co-conspirators devised an elaborate scheme involving a boatload of fake orders and manipulation of the company's software that netted them millions, according to prosecutors. Now, they did have someone on the inside, which apparently is the key to making this work. But the guy who just pleaded guilty recently is from Newport Beach. And we're talking about conspiring to steal more than $2.5 million from a San Francisco-based food delivery company. It's according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. The man is 30 years old. He admitted he worked with several others in a scheme to cause DoorDash to pay for deliveries that never occurred. Now, he faces a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison, a fine of $250,000, and he's scheduled to appear in court for a status hearing in September. Now, of course, keep in mind that they say he helped steal $2.5 million, and it could be a fine of $250,000, but I also believe that they can order him to pay restitution as part of a conviction. So that's another story. The man was a DoorDash driver, and he, along with three others, got together beginning at the end of 2020 into early 2021 and conspired with a former employee of the company to gain access to its computer systems, according to prosecutors. The crew created fake customer and driver accounts. They would then charge high-dollar orders to customer accounts and then using the credentials of the employee they were working with, manually reassign orders to driver accounts that they controlled. The fake driver accounts would report the status of the fictitious orders as delivered, causing a payment to go through to those driver accounts. They would then further manipulate the software to toggle the status of the fake orders from delivered to in progress. And I don't use DoorDash or Grubhub or any of those apps, so I'm not quite sure what some of this all means other than there was a fake order, nothing got delivered, but they somehow got the app to pay them as if things had been delivered because they would reassign the order to another driver account that they controlled, which triggered multiple payments on an individual non-existent order. And now you'd think that their software would somehow be capable of detecting multiple payments on a non-existent order. And maybe that's how these guys got caught. I don't know. Officials said the process usually took less than 5 minutes, but was repeated hundreds of times for many of the orders. So the man was indicted alongside another guy who's 29, another guy who's 30, another guy who's 29, and at least one of them pleaded guilty to the same charge. Meanwhile, two others pleaded not guilty and are set to appear in court in July to see what might happen to them. Now, the former employee involved in the scam pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud back in 2023 and admitted to being involved in the scheme. So when one guy goes down and appears to be willing to speak, you might be able to get some information on the other people. It's unclear how the defendants knew one another or how they connected with the man who was the insider. But that's basically it. And, seeing how much work it takes to steal money these days. But this reminded me of a story. And, the weird part is that if you leave situations where people can steal stuff, they will. They just will. And I'm not saying that a lot of people will be tempted to do this because it sounds kind of complicated. But I remember when I was growing up, there was a store in the downtown area in the city in which I grew up. And it was a clothing store. And they hired a bunch of teenagers and high school age kids to work there. And they had a very liberal return policy. And so someone could bring in something they'd bought there and say, hey, I bought these here. They don't fit. I want my money back. And they would accept returns without receipts. And so it didn't take long for someone to realize and go, wait a second. If you can return stuff without receipts, on the days that the management or the owners aren't here, we can make some money doing this. And so what they would do is they'd have their friends come into the store on days that the management wasn't there because the store did not have security cameras or anything like that. And the person would literally just walk in, pick up something, bring it to the back and go, I'd like to return these. Oh, okay, here's how much they cost. Fine, here you go. Pay them cash. And they started doing that, and the store did enough business otherwise to where that didn't get caught right away. And what happened was the people who were running the scam got bolder and bolder and bolder, and pretty soon they were stealing so much money that the store owners are going, wait a second, what is going on here? And eventually they looked into it a little more in depth and figured it out. And some people actually went to jail, which is kind of disheartening. You know, you're a high school kid and you get your first job and you're working at a really cool store in downtown Birmingham, and you're making decent money, and your friends are kind of jealous and envious because you got this cool job in this cool store selling cool clothes. And then the next thing you know, you're going to jail. And now, don't get me wrong, there was some things in the middle there that I skipped over, including the getting caught, being involved in a scheme to rip off the store, and they stole thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, you know? And so it's kind of weird when you think about that kind of stuff. I've known people who worked in retail. I've known people who worked in retail as management, and I've known people who've worked at a variety of different kinds of stores, high-end stores at malls, and grocery stores, and almost anywhere you go. Number one, customers will steal from you. But number two, your employees will steal from you. And so you got to have all kinds of stuff in place to keep people from doing that kind of ripoff. So this is a crazy one because I don't understand enough of what they're describing here, because it seems to me that somehow there should be some kind of, I don't know, where they compare columns of numbers, like money brought in and then, money we have. And if the money was brought in, but we don't have it, where did it go? It seems to me that $2.5 million would be a number that accounting software should catch. And for all we know, that might be what happened, because the scheme itself didn't run for a terribly long period of time. It didn't. It says they were doing this from November of 2020 to February of 2021. So being generous here, you could go November, December, January, February, 4 months. They did it for 4 months. And it also makes you wonder if they escalated it. If they tried it a few times and it worked, and they're like, oh, let's get more, let's get more, let's get more. So that could be it. But the mere fact that they can make $2.5 million vanish out of DoorDash's account and go into their account, I don't know why, but I'm fascinated at the concept. But they got caught. And at least 2 of them so far have pleaded guilty, but there are other people that still are awaiting trial. And of course, they could plead to something as well. You never know. But it's one of those things when you're with a group of people and a couple of them plead guilty, it becomes very, very hard for you to be a holdout in that situation, because if they put you on trial, they might have some really good witnesses lined up to go after you. So not a good thing. But James and Doug, both, thanks for sending that. DoorDash driver helped cheat company out of $2.5 million using phantom deliveries. And Caitlin Humani wrote that for the LA Times. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law. He who does not understand your silence will probably not understand your words.